Interdisciplinary Network Institute at the Free University of Amsterdam. The floor is yours, Ivano.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hans. I'm hearing some echo.
Can you try to switch off your microphone?
Yes.
Even je geluid aanzetten, Anne?
Can you hear me?
Can you
Okay.
say something?
Can you hear me now? Test? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Geen geluid uitzetten.
All right.
Ja. Ja, geen geluid uitzetten.
Let me share my screen. Okay. All right.
Ja, we can see it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, can you see my slide? Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Ivano Malavolta. I'm the director of the Network Institute at the FU Amsterdam. The Network Institute is considered to be the hub for the interdisciplinary research on the digital society here in Amsterdam, and in this presentation I will give you some hints about what we do. I will not tell everything, but I will try to give you an idea about what we do here in Amsterdam. Okay, as I said, my name is Ivano Malavolta. I am assistant professor in data-driven software engineering. My main research interest is on energy-efficient software, where we do experiments for understanding how energy is consumed by different types of software in order to guide developers and engineers in writing software that consumes less energy. In order to understand how the Network Institute falls, what is the essence of the Network Institute, I think it's interesting to see how it fits within the FU in Amsterdam. And this is a picture of the strategy that our university is following since some years now. If we start from the core of this image, we see three main values that are sustainability, being enterprising. That means not only to start up enterprises after you finish studying with us, but it is more an attitude that students, but also us researchers, should have for having impact in the world. So being more, courageous in doing the research that counts, being more, targeting also risky researches if it is needed, and so on. And the third value is to, of course, value diversity in our education, but also in terms of the people that we want to help with our research. So from these core values, from these three core values, we, of course, carry out different types of activities, and we can see those in the second layer of the strategy. That is, we do education, of course, as any other research institute. We do research. That is, we try to come up with new knowledge and share it as much as we can. Knowledge transfer, that is to transfer what we do within academic venues towards the outside world, let's put it this way, so towards companies, towards society, or towards the classical stakeholders that you can think of when you think about research, and we organize our activities accordingly. Now, all these activities are pretty much, let's say, generic within several universities in the world. At the FU, we defined four main profile teams that are that have priority number one in our everyday activities. So these teams are represented in the outmost layer of the strategy, which is human health and life sciences, connected world, governance for society, and science for sustainability. For the sake of time, I will not go into the details of all of them. I can give you a link to the whole strategy of the university. But for the sake of this presentation, I think it's important to understand that the Network Institute is falling within the theme of the connected world. By connected world, we mean let's say the perspective that we take when we do research, that basically observes that today's world is basically not composed of different components or different people that are not in contact with each other, but in a way everything is connected. And here the concept of connection is more, is very, let's say, conceptual. So we are not talking about people talking to each other, but we are also talking about geographical connections, traveling, connections over time, meaning that some actions can repeat over time and can give us hints. We can talk about social networks. We can talk about networks in the networking perceptions, like in computing, or basically anything that is that can be represented as a graph with connected entities. Here I would like to show you a video that gives some kind of perspective about what we mean by connected world. Just following the reasoning that a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I thought a video can be worth even more. Let me try to show. Okay, let me try to show the video and let's see what happens. Give me 1 sec. I will unmute myself and play the video.
Everyone on Earth is connected. Connecting with others is just as fundamental to us humans as eating, drinking, sleeping, or finding shelter. Sometimes we enjoy that connection, and sometimes we don't. Even when there aren't many people around us, we're connected. To our surroundings, for instance. The way our countries, our cities, and our neighborhoods are organized. And there are even greater connections. Mother Earth is home to billions of people. Globalization and digitization have connected people all around the world in a new, different way. Our new world is a connected world, a world in the fast lane. Some developments may seem harmless, others give food for thought. This world raises many questions. VU Amsterdam researchers explore the connected world. What role does technology have in everyday life? Are we living in information bubbles where we only look for our own opinions? What does it mean to share personal information with complete strangers? Can we use social media feeds to ensure safety in large crowd events? Are modern computers able to help us understand our past? A lot of our research about the connected world does involve computers and technology. But finding solutions for the greatest social challenges of this time also needs a different kind of creativity. In our research teams, experts from many different disciplines study the same subject. Only together we can find answers to complex questions. Because we believe that nature deserves a healthier debate. That transportation problems can be solved. That all citizens need to be engaged in environmental transitions. And that there is a need to create a society where equality and belonging are at the base. We work toward a better connected world. Get connected.
All right. Let me go back to the presentation. Now that we know what we mean by a connected world, In this context, as I said, the Network Institute is the interdisciplinary institute for doing this kind of research. Within the connected world view, we focus on the digital society, which is basically the view in which we try to combine digital technologies and societal challenges. And the perspective that we take is that, in a way, digital technologies can be seen as, you know, a two-edged sword, in a sense, where they can help in solving some of the societal challenges, like, for example, supporting our healthcare, or you name it. But also they can pose some threats that are of societal nature, like polarization of opinions online, pretty sure you know about that, spreading of disinformation, or privacy concerns. And here with digital technologies, we mean really anything that can be related to the digital world, from social robotics, smartphones, online platforms like social networks, language technologies that are at the very core of the capabilities of the Network Institute, virtual reality, and so on. Okay, so the Network Institute is trying to help carrying out interdisciplinary research in the digital society, so combining digital technologies and societal challenges. I have another video, but I think I'm running out of time, so I will skip it. At the end of this presentation, I will show a link where you can check these slides, so you can watch it after my presentation. So let me give you some more detailed information about what we do at the Network Institute. So in a way, it sits in between different departments at the University of Amsterdam. So we have, I will show you the names of the departments. So this is just to give you an idea. So we have Department A, B, C, and D. And the Network Institute is in a way orthogonal to these departments. So the first, let's say, trait of the Network Institute is to act as a connector for researchers working in different departments. So as a university, of course, we have many researchers that are very much specialized in their own disciplines. But when we start thinking about the digital society, many problems cannot be solved just by taking one perspective. So as an institute, we try to, as we say, trigger those sparks that put in contact different researchers in order to better tackle the digital society problem. The second trait is that we want to act as a gym, as a mental gym, let's put it in this way, for students to start working their first steps into research. So in a way, we create a safe environment where students can learn how to do research, can learn how to settle and how to identify relevant research challenges, and then how to design and conduct studies targeting those challenges. The third trait is what I call the bridge, that is basically acting as a tool for collaborations outside the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. And here, for the outside world, I'm meaning, let's say, local organizations like the Municipality of Amsterdam, but also NGOs, local companies, other universities, and the press. So in a way, the idea is to collaborate with other parties, but also to share what we do internally in the Institute as much as we can with external parties. Now I want to show you an example of a research that we do. I will just give you a hint. I will not show you the whole video because it's relatively long, but this is really just to give you the idea. So let me go to the video. Okay, I won't need the audio. I will just show you some parts of the video. So the idea of this type
Waar je
of
de
research...
zak weer neer moet leggen. Door je wijsvinger weer.
Oops, let me remove my audio. So the idea of this research is that basically when we think about natural disasters or very remote situations, dangerous situations. Usually as humans, we try to not come really prepared to them, especially when the probability of their happening are really low. So what we did with this research is we try to create some kind of preliminary experience of people to experience in a way what happens if there is a flooding in your area. Okay, in this way, we want to leverage the fact that when someone already experienced in the past some kind of natural disaster like a flooding, when it happens the second time, usually you come more prepared. Okay, so in a way, what we want to do with this research is to create virtually this initial experience. So when you experience the flooding for the first time, you feel like it's already the second time and you are better prepared to face it. So now in this research, what we did is we helped researchers of the Environmental Studies Institute to set up the virtual world and to carry out the experiments. And then we helped them in indeed conducting all the experiments that were needed for this kind of research. So in a way, let me show you one screenshot of the flooding happening. Yes, this is visiting a house without protection. Whereas in another part of the experiment, the person in the virtual world was basically preparing his own house for protecting from the flood. Okay, so in a way, you have this already experience that you can reuse when the flooding will happen in the real world. Okay, let me move on with the presentation. So this is really just one example. In the presentation, I will give you just really some spot examples, and then I will, in the meantime, I will give you some information about the Network Institute. Very quickly, at this time, we have about 400 members across several departments, from computer science, of course, communication science, organization science, and other departments within the BU. Plus, we have several other collaborators, both academic and industrial. The interesting part is that some of those external collaborations actually generate income for the Institute. And this is very good because it basically makes the Institute self-sustaining, and it gives, some kind of recognition to the Institute for the help that we give to other researchers. Here I have another example of an external collaboration. This is with the Center for Applied Autism Research in the University of Bath. Here, very quickly, the idea is that when you are considering people with autism and they are in a way witnessing some kind of illegal action, you, as a policeman, you cannot just go there and trial that person, because that person, of course, we cannot let's say experience the trial in a certain way. What we do is with this research is we help the researchers of the University of Bath towards understanding how people with autism could experience this kind of situations, so that then we can better guide people working in institutions like the police, for example, in how to better interact with this kind of people in these situations. In order to carry out all our activities, we have some kind of organizational board composed of several teams. For the sake of time, I will not go into the details of all our of the activities or all the teams. I will just give you a very, let's say, wide overview of the teams, where one is the community, whose goal is to engage people inside and outside the university. Then we have the outreach and transfer people, who is in charge of building relationships with other stakeholders outside the university. We have the Tech Labs team, who is in charge of supporting technically the execution of experiments, depending on what is needed. For example, using or designing custom hardware and software, setting up the virtual environments for VR-based experiments, creating space for running experiments with sensors, screens, and so on. We have the research team, who is in charge of creating those sparks that I was telling before, so promoting research and collaboration. And we have the academy team, which is one of the most important ones in the Institute, who is in charge of training our students. There are some highlights of many, let's say, key activities that we carried out during the years. Again, for the sake of time, I will not go into the details of all of them, but here the idea is that we organize conferences, we organize visits from other universities, and we support researchers in creating, you know, that kind of conditions for applying and in some cases also successfully receiving grants that are actually both national and international. And of course, since we are in a research institution, we support researchers in publishing scientific studies in journals, conferences, the usual ones that you know already. Going back to the tech labs, these are one of the main instruments that we use for helping researchers. We have different types of labs. Here I'm just showing some of them. One is the cubicle lab that helps in carrying out, you know, experiments with human subjects. We have the game cella that is specialized in VR-based experiments or experiments involving sensors, hardware, and other types of equipment. We have, the UX gaming lab that is specialized in video games and other platforms like that. And we have the RoboLab that is specialized in robotics. Another instrument that we have, actually, this really takes a big part of our time, is the Academy Assistant Program. That is basically a funding scheme that we created and we are carrying out every year, where basically we give 15 positions to researchers coming from different departments for carrying out their own interdisciplinary research. The funds are used for supporting two students for each project, and in a way this is helping our main goals in, for example, creating new collaborations among researchers, but also to train students in doing their own research. So every year we found more or less 15 positions and distributed over about 7-8 different interdisciplinary projects. Let me show you just one example. I'm not sure how much time I have left. 5 minutes. Okay, good. So one example is coming from this Academy Assistant initiative, is the Data Security on the Ground project that actually received the best Academy Assistant project prize this year. And here the goal of the project is, first of all, it is putting in connection researchers from the Faculty of Law of our university and researchers from the Computer Science department. And the idea is that is to help basically engineers in understanding how to design their own platforms such that they comply with GDPR rules. So now if you read the GDPR regulations, those are really written with law in mind. So they are very difficult to be applied if you're a technical person. So what the researchers did in this project is to analyze in a semi-automated manner the texts of fines that have been issued due to not being compliant to GDPR, and based on the analysis of this text to elicit some clear guidelines that can be easily understood by technical people. So in a way, this is supporting technical people in better understanding what being compliant with GDPR means, and in such a way that in the future there are less, chances to get a fine similar to the ones that have been analyzed. Okay, so this is just an example to give you an idea of what we mean by interdisciplinary research. So here is law plus computer science. Another example is actually this is a second project. This is another project that won the best presentation for the Academy Assistant projects this year, and it is about designing biofeedback virtual reality technology for supporting relaxation. This is in collaboration with communication sciences and communication sciences. Here, the idea is that in this research, researchers created virtual environments for helping people in better relaxing over time. So in this research, they try to understand what means relaxing using virtual reality, and even if using virtual reality can help in people relaxing better in the future. Okay, we have other types of instruments like research vouchers. We organize meetups, we organize conferences, workshops, and so on. So all these initiatives are in the website, and I don't want to make the big list of everything. I just want to give you more or less an idea of what we do. So here are the links that you can see in the lower part of the slides for better knowing what we do in the Network Institute. I have some other research examples, but I'm gonna skip them for the sake of time. So these are here, and you can easily check them offline. So this is the last slide. If you have any, if you want to go a bit deeper inside what we do at the Network Institute, here is the website. You can keep in contact with us using this Twitter handle that you can see here, or you can contact us via email. In the QR code that you see here, I will just leave this slide for a while, is the link to these same slides. So if you want to access this presentation, it just follow this QR code. So yes, this is all from my side.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is okay. Thank you very much, Ivano. The question is, are there questions or remarks from the audience? Then I'm interested a little bit, there is a lot of lip service everywhere to interdisciplinary research, and still it's pretty hard to do for real staff people in the university. So what do you think are the most important obstacles for doing interdisciplinary research, and what do you think are the best mechanisms to make that happen?
That's a very deep question. Thank you, Hans. I think that the biggest obstacle is in the fact that interdisciplinary research is, if you look at the career paths of people, for example, if you are in a tenure track, or if you want to proceed across the usual paths until professorship, usually people look at hardcore venues, conferences, and don't value so much. At least to me, it seems like they don't value so much interdisciplinary research. Whereas outside the university world, let's say outside the career, let's say thinking, interdisciplinary research is actually the most fascinating one. It's the most challenging one, and the one that really triggers more society and the external stakeholders. Like if I'm talking to a layman or to a person outside the university, I'm for sure talking about interdisciplinary research because it's really more fascinating for them and actually can have a larger impact to society. At least this is my perception. So I think the biggest obstacle is the friction between the value that is given to interdisciplinary research inside the university versus the value it actually has with respect to society. So that's the obstacle. The instrument that we can use for at least partially solving this obstacle, in addition to policy, but policy making is a completely different word, and maybe it's a bit outside the scope of this conference, is to have dedicated people doing exclusively interdisciplinary research, like we do for the academy assistance projects, where we have students that really from day zero and 24 hours are really dedicated towards really merging and finding nice intersections between different research disciplines. Well, we need people to do that.
Thank you very much. Then we move to the last speaker, Justus Piater. This is also more or less of an institutional overview talk from Innsbruck. Then I think I'm going to ask the same question to Justus at the end. Okay, please, you share your slides.